Didn't think we make it. Now they break their neck just to look at me. Remember when I called you and you didn't pull through? Now you hate yourself, you can look at me, look at me. You hate me.
And what up? What's good with y'all? Alright, so what are we getting into today? This has been something that has been requested a lot of times. You guys seen I've done a few build breakdowns on cost and stuff on my other builds, but yeah, a lot of people have been asking like what's all done to the LSA 350Z, etc, etc. So today I'm gonna give y'all a little rundown on it. It's all raining and stuff outside, so we can't go out and really do much, so I felt like right now I could kind of address this and talk about it, man. Give y'all a rundown on this thing. Y'all see we got a gang of parts right here, so you know we'll talk about some stuff today. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. All right, so for those that have been around, you guys know that this is my LSA 350Z. It's not a traditional true style LSA. It's actually an LS3 with a LSA supercharged run it. So as far as this motor goes, man, it's still a 6.2. It has forged pistons, forged rods, forged crank, pretty much a full forged rotation assembly from Texas Speed. The heads are ported, and it has a Texas Speed Stage 3 NA cam. Little man over there getting it, he's swinging. But yeah, back to this. So y'all see that logo right there? This blower is ported by Synergy, so it's a Synergy ported blower, LSA with a ZL1 lid. So it's kind of like the best of the best, I guess you could say, for LSA. You do offer a CTS-V lid, but the ZL1 lid is taller, so the ZL1 lid basically offers the best performance. It does have a return system. When this car was a Supercharged DE, I actually had the return system done, so it all worked out perfect. Kept the old fuel system and kind of just re-ran the lines and stuff. You can see we still have the factory fuel rails and everything. And then the swap kit itself is a full ISR swap kit. As far as I know, I think currently we're one of the few people that actually did the swap without doing it with the tube front, and a lot of people end up going to the cable throttle body, whereas I actually was able to make everything work with the drive-by-wire setup. Also, a lot of trial and error was figuring out the right and correct radiator combo. So prior to this, I had a Mishimoto radiator, and when it was NA, it just wouldn't stay cool at all. So I ended up switching over to a Coil V radiator, and it literally eliminated all those problems. Coil V, I run dual spall fans. These fans actually keep this thing super cool. This thing run cool NA, it ran cool when it was supercharged. Then you look down here, we actually have, you'll see the heat exchanger and everything down here. And then if you come to the front, you'll see that, you know, we have oil coolers and all kind of stuff. So keeping this thing cool was like a big thing for me. That's why I didn't run it with the AC condenser is all taken out. I want this thing to run as cool as possible. As far as coolant temps, there's no issues with the coolant temps at all. This thing runs super cool. Air intake temps are super in check. That's due to the heat exchanger. We actually have a big reservoir in the back. I'll show y'all that later, but lines are ran from here. They go all the way back to the trunk. As far as coolant temps on the supercharger, I actually monitor that off of a gauge, and for the most part, they're pretty much in check. When it's super hot out, the temps do go up, but what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna be adding a second set of spall fans down in here. I got some room, so I'm gonna throw some dual fans on there to hopefully, you know, keep this thing cooler. So as far as power output right now, you can see we're still on a big pulley. We got the 255 on here. Currently, this thing makes about 650 wheel. We've had it as high as 703 wheel with 680 some foot-pounds of torque, but we were having a pressure drop. So since then, swapped the fuel pump. It had a 450 pump in here at first, and now I have a 525 pump. Has the hot wire kit and everything with the relay setup. So I'm hoping that kind of gives us right over the edge. I have an extra pulley combo and everything to pull this thing down, but the problem that I ran into and I kind of figured out was, since we're using the CD09 trend still, we actually can't fit a twin disc or triple disc clutch in here, and for something that makes this much torque, it becomes a big problem on making power with a single disc clutch. Due to the custom flywheel, that's where kind of like the problem lies. I'd have to look more into it, but I haven't seen anybody running a twin disc or triple disc. I think if we want to get more power out of it, we probably just have to switch over to a T56. or something along those lines, because right now we're kind of limited on the power. That's why I didn't put the other pulley combo in, and I didn't change it. I kind of just like, you know what, fully built Texas speed motor. Motor was built to run 1,000 horsepower, but at 700 horsepower, I feel like this thing would just, you know, last for forever. Let's go around to the interior and stuff. You guys see that this thing does have the Lambo doors, but we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the exterior. So yeah, one of my main sponsors is NRG. So obviously I'm gonna have a bunch of NRG stuff. When they first made this wheel, which was their forged carbon wheel, you know, they hit me up, sent it out. So they sent me this quick release hub. Obviously, we're gonna be running NRG seats. I do run the mix match color harnesses. This is something that I wanted to do because when you look at the paint job, you'll see the purple and you'll see the blue, but we'll get to the exterior. Yeah, so for the most part, the interior is pretty much stock. The only aftermarket gauges I have right here are for the coolant on the supercharger. That way I can monitor that. And then obviously we're gonna have an AFR gauge. But other than that, man, everything's all factory in this thing. It does have a short shifter on here, which is a must. I would highly recommend that. But yeah, super, I mean, I wouldn't say super clean, but for the most part, pretty clean interior. This little switch right here basically just activates the coolant for the supercharger. We have that on the pump back there. Close this up, go to the back. So when y'all look in there, y'all can see we got I want to say this is like a 4.5 gallon little coolant reservoir for the supercharger. That kind of helps with keeping this thing cool. All right, since we got the basic rundowns on the motor setup, let's close this up and start walking around and talking about the exterior. So as far as the kit goes, front bumper is pretty much custom. A lot of this kit stuff is custom. Everything's been kind of like reworked and defined on the body lines and stuff. Some of y'all notice right here, all this is exaggerated and more pointy. I had a different hood when we initially did all the body work and stuff, so you can kind of see this line right here is more prominent than the actual hood line. But on the other hood, it was, you know, everything was all sharpened up. Same thing with the fenders. These fenders start their life as Fly 1 fenders. Usually these are about 15 mils. Since then, they've been widened up. And then again, you can see the dominant body lines that were added up on here. Usually the Fly 1s are kind of a little bit more on the round side, whereas you look here, they've been flattened out, and this body line has also been sharpened up. Even when you come here, all this has been reworked. So yeah, just making it a bit more, you know, a little bit wider, basically widen it out. These fenders are actually full carbon fiber, but I'm not into the full carbon look. I just feel like shit looks mismatched, so I want to leave a little bit of the carbon right here so people could still see it, but all this is full carbon. As far as this kit goes, man, the side skirts, rear bumper, when we get to that, this is actually a kit that KBD makes, and the kit's named after me. I helped them kind of come up with a design for this thing. We're, you know, going back and forth. So if you go on the KBD website, this kit is literally called the Mike starter kit. So, you know, we are probably going to be rendering this front bumper, probably render this and, you know, make this an actual full kit that people can purchase. As far as the hood go, this is also a Fly 1 hood. The reason why I wanted to go with this hood, obviously we can get a lot of heat out of here, and it kind of gives more of like a CTS-V vibes. You go to the roof, this is also Fly 1. This nice carbon cap. And the reason I did this, and I was telling you guys I had the other hood, but what ended up happening was that shit flew up. That's why you can see like the cracks on the fender right here, and it literally like took my roof out. So ended up knocking the dents and stuff out, and I just did an overlay with the carbon. This looks so much better anyway. So yeah, we got the carbon roof, carbon hood, carbon fenders, all from Fly 1. And then when you come right here, these over fenders were originally CCC fenders, Crown Carbon Crafting fenders. And then you can see also these were widened up. You can see the body line right here also, you know, was all changed up. Everything's sharp, predominant. This body line right here, if y'all can see it, this was all added in. There's a line right here that cuts it off before it goes down, was added in. And then if you look at the side skirt area, you got this swoosh effect, like literally all custom stuff for it. And then the body line that goes down the side of the car, y'all can see that that's been exaggerated. And so everything's pretty much been touched on here. Right here, the rear bumper, I was telling you guys that this is a KBD rear bumper. Same thing, like whole bumper has been reworked. Right here we got some chipping, but you know, I'll get that addressed when the time comes. Obviously, we're gonna fix it up and clean it back up. And then the wing is just a Nismo wing. I'm actually still waiting for Society and Acoustics to, you know what I'm saying, get my carbon fiber louvers. This was something that we've been waiting for a couple years. I've been going back and forth with Oscar on it. So Oscar, if you're watching this, bruh, I still want my carbon louvers, bruh. Come down to here, y'all can see we got custom exhaust. And the way I did this was, the whole thing behind this was like, I wanted Porsche GT3 vibes. So I did the center exit. I wanted to make sure you'd be able to see the canisters from the side when you look at it from the back. That was something like I was set on doing. So we have that. Prior to that, we actually did like a Corvette style exhaust, which was the center exit quads, but that was kind of like some temporary stuff. The goal originally was to do the dual centers and come back. Woo! Thought somebody was busting at me. But yeah, again, another little crack right here. We got the carbon fiber gas cap. These louvers right here are from KBD also. And far as wheels go, man, everybody already know what these Johns is. Everybody already know. Usually I'd have R888s on here, but I had took a trip down to SoCal and I had drove this thing and I didn't want to put the miles in the R888, so I literally went and got some hand cooks, took them off, and throw these on there for the road trip, and I just haven't put the R888s back on. But usually this car sits on R888s on all four corners. As far as wheel specs, these are 19 by 13. These are the big dads. We got the OEM Brembo brakes, NRG lug nuts, again, KBD side skirts. And then this is kind of like the controversial mod, I guess you could say, on here. Remember I told you guys that the thing behind this thing was like Porsche. So we have these headlight covers. Some people love them, some people hate them. I personally love them. I feel like it just gives it a different look from most of the Z's out there. Not many people do it because they feel like, you know, it looks right. So a lot of people do the angry eyes, but for me, it was just like, I want to do something different, and it literally fit the theme of the car that I had going. So that's how, you know, all that came about. Just like, it just matches up. As far as suspension goes, it does have full Megan arms all the way around, and it has BC coilovers that are custom valve for this thing. And obviously we can't talk about it without starting it up, because we might have new viewers, man, that ain't heard the car. So let me get this thing started up, idling a little bit for y'all, and then we'll be back to chit-chatting and talking like logging. All right, so for the headphone users, you are being warned, this is going to be loud. It's probably going to distort the mic, but I want to get y'all the cold start. Y'all probably can't even really hear me. I'll go back in a little bit once it idles down a little. So something I forgot to tell y'all about too is I did end up installing a Mighty Mouse catch can, and we have a Chase Bay's coolant overflow tank. This I would highly recommend anybody with an LS to install a Mighty Mouse catch can. Like highly recommend it. Prior to this, I was having the dipstick blow up, and then once I put the LSA, the dipstick was for sure popping up. So you have to relieve that crankcase pressure, and I think the Mighty Mouse catch can does like the best job at doing that, just because it eliminates the oil cap and it just runs through that way. So now that we idle down a little bit, it shouldn't be as distorted as before. And y'all can also see we have the dual wide bands too. So this is what I was telling you about. You can see right here on the upper part, we got vacuum and boost. And then right here on the bottom one, I'm referring to the orange gauge. On the bottom, you guys can see the supercharger coolant temps. And then right here, we have both banks on the AFR, so it reads left and right bank. See, that was a little startup for the people that may be new, haven't heard this thing. This thing does whine loud on throttle. Like she's a little crybaby. So if it wasn't raining, I'd probably take it out, give y'all some whining. Maybe I can find some footage and insert a clip in here so y'all can hear it out. All right, so that is it for the LSA 350Z. But a lot of you guys know that we do have a second Z, and we got a ton of parts right here. So those parts that you see right here are all from ISR and NRG. So ISR is one of my sponsors. ISR sent over literally a complete LS swap kit for the other Z that we have outside. This runs ISR kit. My boy White Aaron, I got him the ISR kit for his LS3, and ISR was kind enough to send this over and fully sponsor the swap for my girl's car. So the thing I love about this is like the power is raw. Like it is like the torque curve is flat. It's my only LSA, or it's my only root style supercharged car that I have. You guys know everything else is either a centrifugal setup or a turbo setup. So for this being my first root style car, like I can't say anything less than like I love the power band, man. The power band is just flat, like from 2,000 RPM all the way to 7K is just like 680 foot-pounds of torque. Like it's insane. Well, right now it's at 650 because we got the limiter turned down because of the fuel issue, but we are gonna be on the dyno on Thursday, so hopefully we can get this thing back at power. Realistically, on this setup, if the fueling wasn't an issue, we can get all the timing in here. This thing should make about 720, 730 wheel and about 700 foot-pounds of torque. So that's the expectations for it. Again, I am limited because of the clutch, but I mean it's more than enough for this car. So one thing I did miss was when it was NA, this thing was like a blast. When this thing was NA, I had a ported intake manifold, all kind of stuff. It made 494 wheel, all NA. So I actually have another LS3. You guys know that the whole swap kit is going to be going on this Z right here. This Z started his life as my girl Z, but since she's been on Prego, she hasn't drove this thing probably in like 2-3 months or so. Since I have all the parts, I am going to finish it up. I plan on doing the same thing that I did on my LS3 when it was NA, but the only difference is on her car, I'm actually going to do it with AC and everything. So this will be a fully functioning LS3. The goal is probably 500 horsepower, naturally aspirated, and just simple and clean. Like I don't plan on making her car outrageous or anything. Like I like the way this looks. Like no wide body, wheels fit good, no rubbing. So we'll probably leave her car as it sits, literally probably just change the color, clean it up, or possibly get it painted instead of wrapped, put some nice sticky tires on it, and just mob it. Like I want this car to be a fun dig car. But the big point is I want to do everything that I didn't do to my LS3 when it was NA, and I want to do it on her car because I do want to keep the AC and everything. Y'all know I've been going back and forth on this thing. I was like, I'm gonna do it January. I was like, I'm gonna get rid of it. We don't need it. But I think instead of getting rid of this car, maybe possibly finishing up the VR30 370Z, and maybe getting, doing a giveaway and get rid of that. But I think I want to keep this car. I feel like it's low key, so yeah, might as well. Like I literally have everything inside to finish it. I already have the motor sitting at White Aaron, so like it just doesn't make sense to get rid of this car and then do another giveaway on the LS3 and then still have the swap kit. So ISR sent it. They wanted me to use it, so I want to honor my sponsorship with them and actually do what I said I was gonna do with it. I kind of feel bad if I just got some free shit from them and then was like, oh, never mind, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be LS3 in this. Definitely gonna be doing flex fuel because when I had this car NA, I was just running 91, but seeing as how you can plug the flex fuel sensor and everything in, it's super easy to where I think we're gonna do flex fuel on there. Going flex fuel on an NA car doesn't really translate to more power. At most, we'll probably see as 500 horsepower because on 91 pump, LS3s don't have an issue with making full timing. So if it was an issue where you couldn't get peak timing out of a motor, then you'd want to go to E85 or something. But since you can get peak timing out of the LS3 on 91, then it's not really an issue. And that comes down to the heads just being super efficient. So that car will be on E85. It will have AC and the whole shebang. So I just wanted to give y'all a little update. So many people have been asking me to do a rundown on this thing. And I figured while it's raining, we can't really do much. I'll just give y'all the rundown. Pretty much that's it. Pretty much.
I've been going too crazy. These niggas too shady. Speed limit 65. I'm about to do 80. Fucking niggas hating on. I've been on the come up. You can go to speed, but it's better. Run up.